Another day, another video. It's Quora question time. Let's see what we have today. Let's go right here. We're catching up to our current month real fast because we're like some of the questions you gotta browse through it, while some of them are worthy to take a look at. So let's see. All right. What are three deal breakers when accepting job offer? A horrible commute. All right. What is the most ignorant thing you overheard while shopping for groceries? Can someone give me a list of psychology facts that not a lot of people know about? Let's these are interesting. Okay. All right. So number 1, doing things that scare you make you happier. 2, the happier we are, the less sleep we need. 3, women with male best friends have better moods. 4, men with female best friends have a better overall emotional intelligence. 5, our brain becomes more creative when we are tired. 6, you can't multitask. 7, bite-sized informations are the best. 8, our mind wanders 30% of the time. 9, getting someone to do a favor makes them like you more. 10, one person in 12 has intercourse in their sleep. Wow. 11, cursing helps reduce pain. 12, unhappy people watch more TV. Oh, that makes me a little sad to know that fact. Okay, let's see. Being a recruiter, what are the things you have noticed that the candidates take lightly while appearing for an interview? What will be your single best advice to remove procrastination from your life? What should you never say to a cashier? What was the bravest thing you ever did in a job interview? What was the most common flaw homeowners try to cover up when selling a house? What if a coworker calls out sick and you're on your own? What do I do when I need to make a resume but pretty much none of my former employees will have anything good to say about me? Alright, let's see what Gunther has to say about this. Step 1, a little reflection. Before spending any time looking for work, fix any other problems in your life that are making you a bad employee that nobody will have anything positive to say about. You want your next employer to become a positive reference instead of another problem. Step 2, write up your skills and accomplishments just as if you didn't have a problem. If employers don't bother to check with previous employers, they may still be interested in you. 3, pick employers who might not check your resume. Bigger firms with less than perfect reputations. Huh. Alright, let's continue. That's cool. Like Gunther says, just do some self-reflection and see how those situations ended that way. Let's continue on to the next post. All right, were the Russell brothers seriously firing Mark Ruffalo, or were they just I don't know who that is. Does our current way of selecting candidates for interviews really get the best employees? Are there good hires who sometimes slip through the cracks because of it? I'm moving out at the end of the month, and the landlord is saying I have to do a move out inspection. I have no interest in claiming any part of my deposit, and I tend to forfeit it. Is there any reason I have to do this move out inspection? How do the actors on Pawn Stars get away with offering such absurdly low rates for valuables? Are they being honest when they say it's the best deal you'll get? Have you ever had a coworker who you worked closely with get fired for something truly shocking that you never saw coming? Are the Yakuza harmful to tourists? Which artist-sized band showed no progression from album to album? How do I politely tell my boss to shove it after he wronged me? As an Uber driver, which is worse, receiving 5 stars and no tip, or 4 stars with a normal tip? Assume a normal tip is the middle button suggested to the rider. Well, here's it is. I'm not sure how Uber works, but based on just reading this, I would say just they could give me 1 star and a big tip. I'd take the tip. So what? You got a 1 star. You got paid anyway, right? All right. Okay. What show never declined in quality? All right, let me see. My cat is too clingy to the point where I'm considering to give her up. Is there a last effort attempt I could try to fix this problem? What are the 5 best ways to impress an interviewer? Have you ever caught on to someone trying to scam you before it was too late? What examples of clever marketing on social media have been applied? What would happen if a person you hired and seemed to perform okay on the job was later found to have fudged his/her resume, forged probably, whether education, job experience, title, etc.? What's wrong with a credit card if I pay it off every month? Yeah, this is interesting. To me, I don't like the risk associated with the credit card. So that's one thing. I feel like credit card's more risky. All right. The link video is a presentation by Dave Ramsey, the self-proclaimed financial guru who has declared responsible use of the credit card does not exist. Ramsey has become wealthy not by following his own advice, although I am reasonably certain he does, but because he has built a media empire, including a radio program heard on 585 stations, and because he has convinced some 5 million people to attend his Financial Peace University at $99 a pop. The 8-week program, consisting of viewing a video of Ramsey, then discussing the content, is run by volunteers who give up their time. Ramsey company gets all the proceeds. Wow. Volunteers and he gets all pay. Oh my, that sounds bad. The perceptive reader may get the impression that I am not a fan of Mr. Ramsey. They'd be right, although I fully acknowledge that the core of his teachings, where getting out of debt is concerned, is just fine. Much of what he teaches and advocates, however, is self-serving nonsense. Ramsey points to a statistic that nearly half of all credit card holders in the US carry a balance. Nearly one-third pay them off each month, thus avoiding the high interest rate most cards carry. In Ramsey's view and teaching, the number of people carrying a balance is an indictment of the evil doing by credit cards. They are a temptation. Excuse me. They are a temptation, just waiting to ensnare and enslave the unwary, he says. While it is certainly true that many people have gotten them into financial distress by falling prey to the dangers of credit cards, that is often attributable to consumers' lack of knowledge and lack of personal restraint. Buying things can feel so good, and shopping with plastic can feel almost like getting things for free. There is no pain of loss giving up cash at the point of purchase, and when the statement arrives, the thoughtful credit card company allows their customers to pay just 3% of the balance or less. Huh. These kids, this kids is how people rack up tens of thousands of dollars of debt and credit debt at 18% or even north of 30% interest. Is this inherently evil? I'd say it's not. Having the ability to borrow money at will has its dangers, just as other useful tools do. I'm looking at you, Mr. Nelka. Knowing how to use any tool safely is critical. To answer this question, there is nothing whatsoever wrong with using credit cards, and many things that are very right with them. A consumer can avoid all the disadvantages and dangers of credit cards simply by using them correctly, and that includes paying them off each month, rather than allowing a balance to acquire. Here's why credit cards can help you. They are the very best way to develop high credit score at no cost. Contrary to what Dave Ramsey proclaims, a credit score is not an I love debt score, and any consumer can have a high credit score using credit cards alone and without ever paying a single penny of interest. They allow a consumer to avoid having to carry a large sum of cash or make frequent visits to the nearest ATM, which often carry their own fees. Carrying cash can be dangerous, as one is subject to loss through carelessness or theft. Credit cards often deliver attractive rewards in the form of cash refunds. That's true. Extended warranties and signing bonuses. The outdoor retailer REI Co-op asked me if I'd like to open an account. They give me a $250 gift card if I did. Macy's asked me if I'd like to open an account when I bought $2,000 worth of furniture. They give me a $200 additional discount and charge no interest for a year. Yes, please. Wow. Still, if it would have been no interest, well, no interest for a year. Wow. I offer several items of advice regarding credit cards, apart from paying the balance in full each month. Set up automatic payments of at least the minimum payment. This will eliminate the possibility of the occasional late payment. Credit card companies make literal billions of dollars of these kinds of fees, which can run $3 per occurrence or more. That's right. That's automatic pays how you avoid all of that. Request regular credit limit increases. This is not so that you can run up a large balance. It is because higher credit limits. It is because higher credit limits enhance your scores. Use every card regularly in lieu of cash. Not using a card for an extended period of time may cause the use every card regularly in lieu of cash. Not using a card for an extended period of time may cause the FICO model to downgrade your score a bit. If you don't use a card for a year or more, the card issue may cancel it for lack of activity. This could cause your score to go down as well. Don't cancel a credit card without a very good reason, such as a high renewal fee with no benefits to offset it. One component of your credit score is the average age of your account. An account that is 10 years old or more can add a dozen points to your score. Dozen points to your score. You might ask whether having a high FICO score is worth striving for. As my credential indicates, I have been in the mortgage business for quite a long time. Most people today will buy homes with a mortgage. The cost of a home loan is a function of the borrower's credit score. Someone sporting a score of 740 or higher can expect a rate today, December 2019, of around 4% for a 30-year loan, or about 3.5% for a 15-year loan. A borrower with a 620 score, the minimum for a conventional loan, will get a rate about 1.5% higher. A borrower with no credit history at all can still get a mortgage, so as long as they can document their financial responsibilities using non-traditional credit in the form of receipts for rent, utility, cell phone bills, and the like. Lenders will treat these borrowers whose loans are manually underwritten as though they had the lowest acceptable credit score. I recently did a loan for a young couple who had happened to be a member of my close family. They were refinancing their two loans, which had very high rates. Only the husband was on the loan, and they had closed all their credit cards upon the advice of Dave Ramsey. The wife had no FICO score at all because she had closed all her accounts several years previously. Thankfully, they qualified for the new loan without her income. If we had needed for her income to qualify, the rate would have been much higher than 3.25% they did get. Dave Ramsey has unquestionably helped many people out of financial distress with the 7 baby steps leading out of debt, but his authoritarian one-size-fits-all approach is not the best for every person. That includes his adamant position that all debt, with the exception of a 15-year-old mortgage, so I won't be mad at you, is evil. Slavishly following his advice may lead to a different kind of distress. Consumers should apply their own critical test to advice anyone offers, and that includes advice given by your humble question answerer. I hope this is helpful. Yeah, okay. It's interesting. That's one thing. Yeah, you have to consider put the automatic payments down so you don't have to worry about that the whole nonsense. All right. Let's see. They say my BF noticed a parked police car at midnight and made sure to count to 5 at the following stop sign. He was stopped and given a warning for rolling through. Another officer peered through his rear windshield. Do officers target late night drivers? Why is there no discussion about why most American workers have no savings to weather this pandemic? Let's see. Because the answer is pretty obvious. If one would only step back and look at the mess we have dug ourselves into, banks encourage us to deplete our savings and go into debt to buy stuff we don't need and can't afford, and we're gullible enough to fall for it. Some facts and figures about debt in America. Americans have been misled about what a FICO score really is. People think it is their ability to purchase stuff. In reality, it's nothing more than how deep the banks are willing to let you dig yourself into debt. As a result, Americans have nearly 14 trillion of consumer debt, so mortgages, auto loans, student loans, and credit cards. We have pushed, prodded, and shoved our younger generation ever increasing numbers into universities that they cannot afford. One of every 7 Americans owes money on student loans, and the total debt burden is about 1.5 trillion. Yep. Credit card debt exceeded 1 trillion for the first time last year. More than half of all Americans have at least one credit card. The average household has 4 and owes over $8,000 on them. This reveals another truth about us. We're short-sighted. We demand instant gratification. We want things now. Why should we worry about what's going to happen next month when the banks will let us enslave ourselves to them right now so we can get that shiny new thing? Just look at the parking lot where I work. Most people make less than $20 per hour but drive trucks like this. Wow. Or this. Oh my goodness. Because the banks and lenders tell them that they can, but they don't have the sense to know better. The bottom line is that we have no savings because the banks own us, and it's our fault. Judging from the comment section, it seems I need to clarify my position, as I think a lot of people are missing my point. So let me make it clear. I am a staunch advocate for personal responsibility. You're responsible for your actions, your choices, and above all, the consequences. I place a vast majority of the blame on people who make idiotic decisions with money, as in the example I provided above. No one puts a gun to their head and told them to buy those things. But if you don't see anything wrong with giving your entire paycheck to the bank every week just so you can have a bigger, shinier toy than Johnny McNextdoor, then you shouldn't wonder why you can't afford to eat anything but Kraft, mac and cheese, and Pop Tarts, let alone why you have no savings in the bank. That being said, I do place blame on banks when they lend money to people who obviously can't afford to pay it back. History of nuts